Hey guys, Coach Rob here, and I wanted to reach out to you guys. It's getting, towards the end of the year, and it's a great time, if you haven't already, for most athletes to go ahead and wind down and take care of some business that may not be something that we hear a lot about often, but is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most critical parts of, achieving new heights as an athlete and breaking through those plateaus, kind of those yearly or twice a year plateaus that we can do to really propel us along that longer term journey towards our goals. And it starts with something that really takes courage. Okay, we hear a lot about no days off, sticking with the grind, these kind of things. And, they sound great. I think they're great for kind of Instagram marketing, boosting someone's kind of exposure or account or whatever. But in truth, it is not what we want to do. There is a time and a purpose to be disciplined, to be focused, to kind of grind, to keep up the hard work, to not skip. And then there's a time to do the opposite. There is a time to actually, go ahead and what I call take care of all of the important R's. And I'll talk a little bit about what those are. But I want to use a little bit of analogy of, maybe a smartphone or a car. It can be a car that takes gasoline or a car that is electric. But in either case, any of those things that are operating nonstop are eventually going to get to the point where they either burn out, burn up, or just stop functioning well or properly. And they certainly are not going to be thriving. So some of the things that you would do for any of the, electric car or gasoline car or a smartphone are the same things that we can do for ourselves that will benefit us, and even more so. And I'll talk about why that is. One of those things, because we are not just a device. We are not just a machine. We are humans. We have emotions. We have intelligence. We have a spirit, and all of those things kind of need some similar help. So I want to talk about the first one, and that is rest. It takes confidence and it takes discipline to rest. We need rest even during our busiest times. We need to make sure that we're getting proper rest. And that includes sleep, but sometimes it includes not overdoing things. But certainly when we have the opportunity to take some downtime in between seasons, rest is super critical. Okay, it's how we can heal, how we can recover, and not just physically, but mentally, spiritually as well. Okay. Another R is that recovery. Okay. So when we keep pushing ourselves, when we keep going, eventually we can't get full healing, full recovering. So we need to really take, some time, maybe a week, maybe 10 days, maybe 2 weeks in some cases, to embrace recovery more. And we have systems in our body that are our resources. Okay, I'll give you one example. It's the adrenal gland. Okay, where do we get adrenaline from that helps us perform? Well, there are systems that produce that. But if we keep tapping into those systems day after day after day for weeks and then months, eventually those systems are depleted, and we need to allow them to recover and recharge, right? Which brings me into the next R, which is recharge. Okay, this is super important. If you've got anyone who's driven an electric car knows that feeling when it starts to get close to 0 miles, even 50, you want to get back and recharge. It's pretty obvious. Well, our bodies are the same way. Our minds and our spirit are the same way. We have to pay attention to those and give them that recovery and let them recharge. So another big one is reset. Okay. When we're busy, when we're extremely zoomed in and focused, and we're kind of going through day after day after day, we can actually get to the point where we start to go through the motions, right? And having a reset is super important. It lets us back away, right? We can reset goals. We can even reset our mindset. We can kind of examine and say, hey, how was I at the end of the season? Was I getting too frustrated with bad races or bad performances? Was I, did I lose some of my focus, right? We can reset our mindset on that or our goals, and which leads me into the next R, which is the refocus. We tend to get zoomed in as we get into the swing of things, and we hear from others around us. And sometimes we need to zoom back out and get the bigger picture and remember that it's a big, long journey. And what are the things that help us there? Are we ignoring any of those things? Have we forgotten about any of those things? Are we only taking care of certain aspects, right? So when we zoom out, we can refocus. And sometimes the best way to do that is taking downtime, and not just a day, but having several days off or more to refocus and then move forward with more, with a better focus, and keeping in mind all of the things that help us grow and move forward. And the last one that I want to talk about is renewing. Okay, so when we renew, right, we have a new or a recharged vision, a purpose, goals, even energy to work on those goals. So all of these things are really key. Wish you guys the best success in the new year. Go get them.